Good morning, everybody. How we doing? Don't know why I'm moving. How we doing? Sammy, United People's TV. What day is it? Thursday, the 24th of April, and we're here with another transfer show. I did not expect this week to be a full transfer news week, but it has been because United clearly have been planning and are now executing plans far earlier than we thought they would. We're going to speak about, it's not really an update on Cunha, it's just noise coming out of Brazil. They're just trying to be first to the story, I think. That's kind of what it looks like. We're going to speak about Victor Osimhen this morning. And I'm going to call this a lesson for everybody. Not really everybody as part of the United People's TV community, but in general, because I'm a bit bored of it. We're also going to speak about Marcus Rashford's future, a briefing to the UK press yesterday, and also United signing an exciting young striker, but not going to be playing for the club. And it's going to be the first indication that we have on the multi-club model. You get involved in the chat. Anthony, I see you down there winding me up. You get involved in the chat. I'll try and answer as many of your comments throughout the show as I possibly can. Let's see who's here from the mod and the member gang. Stephanie, good morning to you. Hopefully keeping the chat nice and civil. Carl, you're there as well. And I can see you there too, buddy. Josh will be always there hiding in the background. We've got JC, good morning to you, dude. Dazza. We've got Lisa, we've got John, we've got Bandius. Just sounds like an enemy in Lord of the Rings. Surendran, we've got Tony, we've got James, Innes, we've got Scott, and let's go one more. We've got Akash. Good morning to all of you, and Maddie. Full gang. Right, should be a good show today, I think. I'm just going to dive straight in and speak about this man, right? I feel a little bit annoyed. Do I have to do this? No, I don't have to do this. But you're damn right I'm going to, because, yeah, I think it's needed. Osimhen. For a lot of United fans, Osimhen was the choice this summer. Was the striker that everybody wanted. For a lot of other United fans, that was Victor Gyökeres. I don't really think there would be too many United fans, and I can understand this, who would have chosen Liam Delap as their top choice. It wasn't my top choice. It wouldn't have been my top choice. However, there's a reality about Osimhen that just United fans are. I honestly don't know whether it's just United fans just burying their head in the sand over here and just ignoring everything that's going on with United's finances, or they're being swayed by just the spreading of fake news. I don't know what it is, but it's a head scratcher, and I want to speak about it this morning. Look at that, Eric. Big up Eric, the second best Eric in the world. We all know the best one is. Eric Sheridan gifting 20 memberships. What a legend. Who's got them? We've got SD, we've got Cameron, we've got Martin. Remember, hey Mar, what's up? Captain Statebait gifting 5 memberships. Part of the food gang. Anyway, can we speak about Osimhen here? Right. This is David Ornstein speaking on NBC Sports yesterday about Osimhen and about United's search for a striker this summer. And this is what he said.
The striker position, it's Liam Delap of Ipswich Town as their number one target. He has a £30 million release clause if Ipswich are relegated. But there are a lot of other suitors for him, including Chelsea. So there's no guarantee that will happen. I think Liam Delap will decide before the European Under-21 Championships on where he wants to go. If Manchester United are to look at others, I'm assured it will not be Victor Osimhen. Despite reports you might be reading, he is not on the agenda for Manchester.
Osimhen is not on the agenda. Osimhen has never been on the agenda. And I don't care anymore, if I'm being totally honest, because I'm going in double hard on Brent on this, because it bores me beyond belief how much United fans are influenced by the spreading of crap. A quick lesson for you all here. One day ago, over in the United stand, £40 million Osimhen bid. Bid made. Boom, we're going after Osimhen. Over 200,000 of you not lapping it up, but just like, oh, okay, we put a bid in. Oh, reasonably excited because of the headline, because of the thumbnail. Oh, great. One day later, fake news, transfer off. But what do you mean? We just literally put a £40 million bid in. And I can't even have a go at the gutter press for this. A quick lesson for you all. This is the article that headline was made from. Let's quickly have a read through of this article, ladies and gentlemen. Manchester United eye Victor Osimhen in a cut price transfer. Let's have a look where it says that United put in a £40 million bid. Let's see where it writes it. Manchester United are pushing ahead with a £40 million deal. Well, that doesn't say that there's a £40 million bid. Oh, maybe it's later in the article. No, it's not. No, it's absolutely nowhere in the article. So I can't even have a go at the gutter press for this because they didn't say that United put in a £40 million bid for Osimhen because we never did at any point. Yet 200,000 of you thought that we did. And then to call it fake news when you are the fake news. It's got a self-awareness of a spoon. It's not the fact. He's got the self-awareness. He knows exactly what he's doing. But people just... don't come at me with crap comments like that. I don't think it's fair because if you watch that show, he said it's likely bullshit. No, you cannot do that. Why do people listen to this? You cannot have a headline like that, lure people in, and then say, no, it's fake. Why do people think that that is a fair reason? You can't do that. You cannot have a go at the media and then just make a complete headline up, lure people in and goes, that headline's not true, by the way, and we're here to prove to you that it's not. That's having your cake and eating it. The only fake news is that, and it angers me so much because I spend so long on doing what I do. And it's just frustrating when you see people just straight up lying. Oh, no, but in the show, we say it's not true. Oh, fantastic. Fantastic. Oh, that covers it. That's totally fine. It's totally fine. All right, no, it's not. It's in any way, shape, or form, it's not. And the reason I'm annoyed is because it gets United fans excited. And then, all of a sudden, when you get David Ornstein saying that the move's not happening, then United fans are annoyed. Whereas in reality, the truth is, Osimhen was never really coming to United. Someone down there, what's with the Osimhen hate? It's not Osimhen hate at all. It's the coverage of news, and I can't even blame the gutter press because at no point in this story did they say about a £40 million bid because it never existed. Pulled it out of thin air. Bloop. And then I'm going to get annoyed about what the media does, and you are the fake news. It's you. But people still lap it up. People still absolutely lap it up. When it comes to Osimhen, right, it really, really wasn't hard to understand why Osimhen was never going to come to United. Right? Do you remember this? This was this deadline day last summer? I think it was deadline day last summer. You know when it all got messy between... It all got messy. I'm going down to the chat again. I don't like United stand, but I don't like these rants either. Ryan, if you committed as much of your professional career to doing what I do, it would annoy you because it completely influences United fans who I'm trying to tell the news to. And when they're thinking from a completely different perspective because someone has just straight up lied to them, it annoys me. And it should. Anyway, Osimhen. The big problem with Osimhen is... Do you want to do a quick bit of maths? So, this was on deadline day in the summer, and Al Ali in Saudi Arabia agreed a deal with Napoli. 75 to 80 million pounds. And the wages were going to be 25 to 30 million euros per season net to Osimhen. That is, and I've done some quick maths, that is roughly 567,000 euros a week. Woo. Woo. That is some monies. And that's the contract that that is the contract that he was offered. That's the contract that he agreed. Wages were always going to be the problem with Osimhen. I don't think there's any United fan really who would argue against Osimhen being a good signing from a striker perspective. He's probably one of the best goal scorers that's available. I can see if a couple of you down there. I'm going to keep going down to the chat. Akash is saying Sam Whitwell and Nathan Salt said Osimhen was on the cards. Maybe I'm wrong to say that Osimhen was never an option. I mean, I think everybody would have been an option going into the summer. They would have looked at Gyökeres. They would have looked at Osimhen. They would have looked at... Geez, remember the list of strikers that we ran through? It's like 10 different ones. It's more the fact... I'm more reacting to the fact that there was a £40 million bid put in this week, and then all of a sudden, 12 hours later, it's fake news. Then that's the thing that's annoyed me the most. Not the idea that Osimhen was never an option. I don't really think Osimhen was ever an option when the wages were brought into it. I'll be totally honest. Because you can't make 400-odd people redundant. You can't do all the cuts and everything you're doing, and you can't try to install a wage structure, and then all of a sudden, when you come to this summer, throw that whole thing out the window to sign Victor Osimhen. Because he wouldn't have... Right now, his wages at Napoli... According to multiple... Again, you can never really look into these reports too much, but the suggestions were kind of why the breakdown happened. He was on around about 10 million euros per year at Napoli, which works out to roughly 200, just over 200, north of 200,000 euros a week. And Chelsea offered a lot less than that. He didn't want to move to Chelsea as a consequence. Fell out with Napoli. Got benched. His number got taken off him. They signed Lukaku. All got messy. Then he went to Galatasaray, who are paying that full 10 million euros wages. So that's what he's on outside of the Premier. So if he's on 10 million euros, he's only just out north of 200,000 euros a week in Serie A. How much would he actually charge, or how much would he cost in England? It just, the wages never matched up to what United are trying to do this summer. Ever. At any point. Of course he was an option for United. Everybody would have been an option. Benjamin Sesko's an option. Was he ever realistically going to join? I mean, he's going to cost like 70, 80 mil. I don't think Sesko has ever realistically been an option. In the same way I don't think that Osimhen was ever realistically an option. I genuinely think there's more chance of Gyökeres joining, or there was always more chance of Gyökeres joining than Osimhen. I don't know what his wages are at Sporting, but I know they're going to be significantly less than what Osimhen's were at Napoli. Still don't think Gyökeres will join either. Let me see what else he's saying down here in the comments. Anthony saying, why did Osimhen refuse Saudi last summer? I did some reading up about that this morning. Now, I don't know whether this is complete gospel or not, but I think Napoli tried to add on an extra like 5 mil onto the price. It pissed off Al Ahly, and they sort of backed out of it. He wasn't going to move to Chelsea because they weren't offering him the same wages that he was getting in Napoli. So they were then Napoli was stuck between a rock and a hard place. They made the deal for Osimhen to go to Al Ahly collapse because they were being a bit greedy and wanted a little bit more. He was never going to Chelsea because they weren't offering him the wages that he was getting at Napoli. And he was never playing at Napoli again because they'd already taken his number away from him and replaced him with Lukaku. So then that's the whole situation that they found themselves in, and why Osimhen. Because it's weird that Osimhen's just spent a year in his prime playing for Galatasaray. Where do you think Osimhen will play next season? I would be amazed if it's not in Saudi Arabia. I would be amazed. How old is he now? 26? 26. 26. He's 27 in December. So he's still got probably, I don't know, 3, maybe 4 years at the top level. He'll probably go to Saudi, spend 2 years there, come back, I don't know, when he's 29. I'm sure there'll be someone in Europe that will take him then. And by the way, part of this deal here was that there was a release clause. There, you can see it there. There was a release clause as part of that contract, which meant that somebody in Europe could bring him back, so he wasn't just going to get stuck in Saudi. Either way, there was never a £40 million bid. And the fact that there's so many United fans getting angry at Ornstein saying that he's never on the radar. Well, it's not that he was never on the radar, but he's not an option for United now. I think it's just frustrated me, man. It really has. Because I'm going to have to deal with the fallout of so many United fans getting angry at the fact that we're not signing Osimhen. It'll be nice. I'm going to ask you a question here. Emmanuel, thank you for gifting 5 memberships down there, dude. How many years do you think it will be before... No, sorry. How many years do you think it will be until United's finances aren't going to be a problem? Ultimately, it will be when the Glazers and their debt leave, because that's always been a hamper, but it's not always been... It's always been a hamper, but it's not been the problem with our finances. The big problem we've had with our finances is how much money we've wasted, how much money we've spent on the credit card. Remember, we owe, like, I think it's, what is it, £200-300 million we owe to other clubs for signings that we've already made. So it's not just the debt on the Glazers. It's not the interest on the Glazers' debt itself. It's interest on the credit card. I just wonder how many years it will take for us to be sort of not financially sustainable, but Manchester United, every single summer, should have the finances to go and sign the best... I'm not saying the best player in every single position, but we should have the finances to be able to do it. This summer we don't. That's why Osimhen always seemed unrealistic to me. That's why we can't go after Gyökeres. I mean, Gyökeres is such an obvious signing. If we had the money for it. We don't. Let me see what you're saying. 5-6 years, someone says down there. 15 says JC. 10 years at least. And Shax, you're saying it down there as well. And I think I agree with... I don't know how many it is, but it's... Like, it's people down there. You got Shekar, you got Raheem, David saying 5 years. 5 years with success. Right. Ladies and gents, we're about to build an absolute behemoth of a stadium. And we've seen it with Arsenal, and we've seen it with Spurs. And the periods of austerity that both those clubs went through as a consequence of building and financing the new stadium. Let alone Manchester United with the debt that we've already got financing a new stadium. Obviously, there's going to be naming rights that are sold. I imagine, I've already mentioned this before, I imagine with the new stadium that's put into like a separate limited company, and United will probably sell off a percentage of that. So somebody else owns X percent of the stadium and they'll invest into it there. But I imagine there's going to be more debt. I don't even know how we finance that stadium. So yeah, I think I agree with people down there saying probably 10 years. 4 to 5 years if we've made all the right decisions and have a bit of luck. I think... And... You'll have a good disagreement, don't you? If we can afford Cunha, we could afford Osimhen, but I guess the club have prioritised Cunha. Wages are not an issue, not with the players outgoing. I mean, I think that's a laughable opinion, if I'm totally honest. You don't think that signing Osimhen on wages north of, let's be totally honest, north of 300 grand a week, if not a little bit more, that's not a problem. United, this is the exact thing that United have to avoid. Exact thing. The exact thing that we've done so many times that just has not worked for years and years and years. all of those players on massively inflated wages, and a lot of them signed too late. It's a complete thing that we are trying to avoid. So why would you go and do the exact same thing this summer with Osimhen? A little bit different for the Osimhen's younger, but it's just, we're never going to pay somebody those wages. It's just not going to happen. In any way, shape or form. It's so abundantly obvious. Kind of feel sorry for Liam Delap a little bit. Coming in straight away. And there's going to be a lot of fans angry about it, really. Because United shouldn't just be, and this is where I agree. United should not be like, all right, okay, lads, right, we got goal scoring problems, right? We've got goal scoring problems. Our club, Manchester United. Who should we go and sign? Oh, let's go and sign a striker that's relegated. That will solve our problems. I mean, I don't think this is a very fair comparison. I'm going to say it anyway. But you know when Louis van Gaal wanted to sign Mane, and a lot of United fans were angry. Man, angry is the wrong word. A lot of United fans looked at Mane and was like, why are United going to sign a winger from Southampton? Like, are you kidding me? And a lot of United fans turned their nose up at Mane simply because he played for Southampton. United can't possibly be signing players from Southampton. And we know what happened. We know that Mane joined Liverpool. And we know, well, how good a player he ended up being. I don't think Liam Delap is in that category. But a lot of fans sort of will probably be looking at that in a similar way. Like United can't possibly be looking towards Ipswich and a relegated team to sign any player because how's that going to take us upwards? I hope INEOS get it right. Do I think that if finances weren't a problem that we'd be signing Delap? No, I don't. And look, Ashraf down there, look, you're talking about Jonathan David being an option. I'll say the same thing that I have said about Jonathan David so many times. Jonathan David's been a free agent option since January. All clubs outside of France could have had a pre-contract agreement with, is it Lille? For Jonathan David. Tell me one club that's done that. There isn't one. Despite him being a free agent. Not one club has gone in and agreed anything with them for Jonathan David. And I don't understand why, right? Because if on the outside looking in, you look at Jonathan David, you're like, man, that's the best available option right now. Tell me one club that's gone anywhere near him in 3 or 4 months. Not one. It might just be that all clubs are missing out on it. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Mike, I will agree on that. Should have signed Thuram. Yeah, Marcus Thuram. Who was he playing for? Can't remember. French team? German team? I think it was a German team. Yeah, I find it very strange that no club's pursuing Jonathan David, but there must be a reason for it. And Liam Delap is... Hey, look, we're not even guaranteed to sign Liam Delap here, ladies and gents. We're not guaranteed to sign him. You know, we've made a move for Matheus Cunha. I'll speak about Cunha next. But right now, as it stands, no, I know he played. Was it Gladbach? I think it's Gladbach. Yeah, thank you very much. I know right now that Liam Delap is our number one choice, but we haven't made any move for him. I kind of think that we're waiting for Ipswich's relegation to be confirmed before approaching, and I think that's probably a little bit out of respect. Because if we don't, then Ipswich could probably... I mean, Chelsea are going to go after Liam Delap as well. Does that make Chelsea a horrendous club? I mean, Chelsea are a horrendous club. Everyone knows that. City do have a buyback on Delap, I believe. But, of course, they have to execute it. I don't think they need another striker right now. Look, let's just move on from Osimhen. Right, let's speak about Cunha. Because let's speak about a person we know we're in for. Someone just sent a super chat there. Let me read this out. I'll head back down to the chat. I do try and involve as many of you as possible. If you saw how many messages are flying in, it is quite hard. I'll try my best. Hugo, thank you for gifting 5 memberships earlier. I missed that. Gary is saying, why is he at Galatasaray if he's so great? He's at Galatasaray because that was the only option that was available to them at such late notice. And I think it's because the Turkish window closed. If I remember correctly, am I right on that one? The Turkish window closed later than the European one. Because this was a move that failed to Al Ahly and Chelsea on deadline day. If I go down there, is that deadline day? 30th of August. Yeah, right at the end of the window. And I think then the Turkish window was open. And I think that's why he moved. Rapid as you're saying, this reminds me when we got Højlund, when United fans wanted Kane. That Kane situation was, geez, you remember that? That was just a case of United. Well, first of all, I don't think Spurs would have sold to United, no matter how much we went with. Secondly, I don't think United were ever going to spend 100 million plus on was he 30? I think he was 30 at the time. I don't think Kane would have worked out at United in the same way. It's taken to the second season. It looks like he's going to win the Bundesliga now, but United's team wouldn't have maximised Harry Kane, I don't think. I think he would have been great, but I don't think we would have got as much out of Kane, goal-scoring-wise, as Bayern have. And spending that much money on a player whose value is only going to go down is not the way to make sustainability. In the same way that spending 70 million on Rasmus Højlund and him absolutely not living up to expectations is not the way to do it either. So it wasn't as if we made a smarter choice, let's be totally honest. Yes, they will spend 100 million on Anthony. I think that will just go down as the worst transfer post Fergie. It has to be. Anthony has to be the worst transfer. I think the one that had the biggest ripple effect will always be Alexis Sanchez. I stand by that. From a wage perspective, I think we're still reeling from the damage that Alexis Sanchez's arrival caused at the club and everything that led after it and all the contract extensions that happened after it. And yeah. But in terms of the worst signing, it has to be Anthony, price-wise. Cunha, right? We've been speaking a lot about Cunha this week after effectively kind of reports came out of nowhere that United were really moving forward. The Athletic, Laurie Whitwell confirming that United were sort of in contract talks. We know what the release clause is. He wants United. United want him, and it's been moving quite fast. I'm going to run through a report that's come from Brazil and have a little chat to you now. Jay saying, just come across the channel. Big fan. Welcome aboard, dude. Saying, I'm a bit upset there's no Gyökeres links, to be fair. Seems like a surefire hit. If United win the Europa League, I think there's a possibility that those conversations might pop up. Arsenal were in the Champions League, so I suppose they're going to be a little bit distracted. I don't think Gyökeres wants to move without Champions League football. I think he feels he's at that point in that age in his career that he wants to really push and chase that for the next 2-3 years. I can understand that because this is his last big move. This next move that Gyökeres makes is his big one. So he doesn't want to do that without Champions League. I think we could probably afford. Could we afford how much Gyökeres would cost? I don't know. I think we could afford his wages, but the cost, you're probably looking somewhere between 55 and 70 million euros is what I would expect for Gyökeres. Wahib down there saying he wants huge wages. I don't think that we would struggle to get Gyökeres in the wage structure. In like the opposite fashion of, I think we would massively struggle slash impossible to reach a compromise and agreement with Osimhen over wages. I think we could reach a compromise with Gyökeres, but I think it's more the price itself. Let's find out what goes on. Someone down there saying Gyökeres is only 26. Yeah, he's 26, but the contract that he signs now, these are his peak years. Next 3-4 years are his peak years. I agree, Ankit down there. I think Gyökeres will join Arsenal. Just strikes me as a club that will sign him. He could go Chelsea in theory. But so could Victor Osimhen. Remember that, well, they tried to get him on, I think their wage offer was about 40 to 50% of what he was earning at Napoli. That's what I was reading up on this morning. Alex saying, very worried about no central midfielder links. It's just, it's clearly obvious what United's priorities are. And let's be totally honest, look how little goals we've scored this season. Of course, it has to be a number 10 who's a goal scorer in the Premier League. Boop. And a striker, which is why Liam Delap seemingly is next. When do Ipswich play next? Let's have a look. Because I'm presuming if they don't win... Well, there you go. So that's their next game. Yeah, good luck with that, Ipswich. Newcastle away on Saturday. I think Ipswich are officially relegated if they go down. I think. It's got to be close. Let's have a look. Stupid website, man. I mean, I don't know how they're not already down. They're 15 points behind. There's 5 games left. Oh, there you go. It's literally this weekend. So there's a total of 15 points available. So technically, they're not down. But as long as West Ham get a point in their next game, or unless Ipswich win their next game, then they're down. Look at that form from Wolves, by the way. That's mad form. They nailed that. Anyway, Ipswich will go down if they don't win on Saturday. So I would, if I was to have a prediction, I would predict that next week we're going to hear some stuff around Liam Delap. And I think United are simply from a perspective of wanting to actually negotiate. I mean, technically, you don't have to negotiate with Liam Delap. Sorry, you don't have to negotiate with Ipswich. 30 million release clause. Bang. There you go. But I don't think United want to piss them off by trying to distract the club or Delap by going in first. Right? That's just kind of what I think. Now, Cunha. There's reports saying that United have sort of completed an agreement, and it's just coming out of this. It's coming out of Goal Brazil, and effectively saying that Man United have reached an agreement, will pay the termination fee. He's joining United. That's it. That's all the story is for now. It's not being reported by anywhere else. It's not being reported by The Athletic, etc., etc. And I think with Cunha, look, Fabrizio Romano's posting an update, which is absolutely not an update. United maintain optimism for a Cunha deal as the club feels he really wants to move. Champions League football not expected to be a factor with Cunha keen on the move, as United would be ready to pay the release clause in instalments if Wolves approved. That's the only negotiations there has to be. Can we negotiate it so we don't have to pay the... There's no way that we pay a 62.5 million release clause up front. I don't even think we've got... How much cash have we got in the bank? I'd be surprised if we even have that much cash in the bank. We're going to have to pay in installments. We're going to amortise the transfer. That's the way it goes in a modern game. You could get a here we go on this one next week, I think. Certainly before the end of the season. And I did that... I did that video yesterday just discussing that. I remember doing the video last year, and I pulled it up at the start of the video, where I was speaking about how it's nice to see United moving early, and it feels good. We were speaking about the Xerxes deal, speaking about Lenny Yoro. And we signed Xerxes on the 14th of July, ladies and gentlemen. It's April. It's nearly a full 3 months earlier that we might agree a deal for Cunha and maybe Delap. That's some difference. And as I said in the video yesterday, it just feels like that's a product of having an actual plan. You know what you're doing. Like you've been working on this plan for a long time, and that's what this week is. We've just gone, right, let's go. And they've just started executing it. Joe saying he's not worth that much. Look, man, I didn't think United were going to pay north of £50 million for any player this summer, really. 50-55. But in Cunha, they're probably willing to pay that little bit of a premium for the fact that he is a Premier League proven goal scorer. And that's just a slight premium that you will pay. Liam Delap, you don't pay that premium because, well, he is only 22. It is a relegated team. And Ipswich are just pissed, though. Liam Delap's not a £30 million player. It's an opportunity. If that release clause didn't exist and Ipswich were relegated, there's no way that he would leave for 30 million this summer. No chance. Even if you don't think he's the right person to sign, he wouldn't leave for that price. Anoj, how you doing, buddy? Nice to see you there. Popping in. Old Doc. Still docking? Presume so. Hanif saying Mbuemo. I don't know. I've never really been moved that much by Mbuemo, man. Never really been moved. I don't know why. What else are you saying down here? I can see why we're going to Southeast Asia for the extra 10 mil. I can't. Imagine what that. Like, I'm just me covering United and everything that we do here. I'm thinking end of the season, great. Nah, never mind. 2 days later, we're playing like a all-star team in Hong Kong, and then go Malaysia. I'm thinking, really? Imagine what you must think about that as a player. But I would be surprised if that's not an annual thing from now on. 10 million every year for doing a postseason tour. Great. Good. That's going to be a brand new part of Manchester United's annual plan. Langarooni with a comment I never thought I'd see on the channel, but why not? We'll answer it. Would you take Darwin Núñez? Could you imagine? Could you imagine United signing Darwin Núñez? I bet you Liverpool can't. But they can't wait to get rid of him and sign an actual striker that they can trust. Like the King frustration player. God, do you imagine what United fans would do with a player like that? Nothing to do with the Liverpool connection. It's just like, you know what I'm looking for? I'm looking for a clinical striker. I'm looking for a finisher. I'm looking for a 1 in 4 striker. Right? That's what I want. A 1 in 4 striker. He is not a 1 in 4 striker. He's like a 1 in 8. Capable of the great, blended with absolute woefulness. I guarantee they get an absolute wedge for him as well when he goes to Saudi. An absolute wedge. Annoying. Right, let's move on. There's 2 more talking points I want to speak about today. Rashford being one of them. Because there was an obvious brief to the press yesterday. And this is what it was. You saw this in the Times, the Telegraph, BBC, Sky Sports, all at the same time. All saying that Rashford wants Champions League football. He's on loan at Villa. He doesn't want to be involved in a player swap deal and is understood to be reluctant to move to London. That's in the Telegraph and over on the BBC, saying Rashford doubts he will ever play for United again under Amorim. Feels it's unlikely he will play for United again, will not be rushed into making the decision. While his contract's due, sources close to the player do not see an obvious way back into the Old Trafford fold, but that's because it won't happen. And yeah, actually I'm willing to get your take on it. This is just Rashford's brother, presumably, just speaking to the press, speaking from Rashford's point of view. Standard. Absolutely standard. Nothing strange about it, but I think I asked this question yesterday, where you think the Rashford will play next season. It is a bunt, and I don't mean this in an offensive way to Villa, because Villa have had a cracking season. I loved watching the Villa PSG game. And Villa have been a great team to watch. But Marcus Rashford doesn't want to play for Aston Villa. Now, you might call that arrogant. I'm just calling it for what it is. I'm calling a spade a spade. He did not leave Manchester United to join Aston Villa. I'm just talking about how Rashford is thinking here. He wants to join Barcelona. He wants to join PSG. He wants to join Bayern Munich. He wants to join one of those typical, traditional, top 10 European clubs. That's what Marcus Rashford wants. Not Aston Villa. I've said it so many times. I just don't see how Barca want Rashford. Just don't see it. I really, really don't. Vic, you're saying it's delusional. It's aspirational, but maybe it's just not based in reality. Bayern Munich, there's a possibility. Maybe. PSG, I mean, they've looked better than they have in a long time. And they better do the job against Arsenal. Come on, PSG. Inter Milan, maybe. No, was it Milan that he was in? His agent went out and had talks with. But yeah, he's not going to play for United again. I don't think he wants to play for Villa. I don't think he ever wanted to play for Villa. But he had no option. He had no choice. And the move, let's be honest, has worked out for him. I think he's not played incredible there, but I think he's shown what he is capable of. Either way, the best case for United in this scenario is Rashford does find one of those moves. Barca do want him. Inter do want him. Bayern do want him. Or PSG do want him. One of those clubs want him and they come and they sign him for more than 40 million that Villa can get him for, because that is an underpriced transfer. And I also just don't want to see Rashford in the Premier League. I just mean from a selfish point of view. I just want Rashford to play for a club in a different country, and then I wouldn't have to hear too much. I might get the occasional video that pops up, and that's about it. That's all I want to see about Marcus Rashford, not in a United shirt. And I just mean that from a selfish perspective. Eric, you're saying, funny thing is, by numbers, Højlund is an efficient striker. The chances being created by him and the team are just not there as frequent of quality yet. He may still have a decent track record in the Europa League. But overall, man, Højlund's done as United's number one striker. I think because of the price we paid, Højlund might get an opportunity next season underneath somebody else in a sub role. But I think that if United could this summer, I think United would love to sign a striker and then loan Højlund out and then bring in another striker. I just don't know whether that's actually possible. Darren, I mean, I can't disagree with that comment anymore. You're saying that Rashford's a better player than Elise. I don't see that. I can't see that. Elise was the dream signing for me last. I think he was the top of my list. He's had an absolute stormer of a season at Bayern Munich. And obviously he wouldn't have had that in the United shirt because we've been massively dysfunctional by comparison. But no, if I had to choose between Elise and Rashford, I would choose Elise. And maybe that's only me saying this at the end of this season, but that's just a personal preference in terms of the players that they are. Højlund needs a loan move, says Hard Drive. John, you're saying Højlund needs selling. I just don't think we won't be able to get enough money for him. Either way, just to conclude on this Rashford bit, doesn't want to move to London. We wouldn't have sold him to Arsenal or Chelsea or Spurs anyway. And he wants Champions League football. Well, let's find out. But it could well be that Marcus Rashford is left disappointed again this summer in the same way that he was disappointed in January, that nobody that he wanted to join wanted to sign him. Hence why he ended up at Aston Villa. And the same thing could happen again this summer. We'll find out. Right, I want to quickly move on to speak about this lad. Because this is going to be an interesting conversation. Right, this lad is Enzo Canabiec, right? And he plays for Le Havre out in France. Fun fact, fun question. Who else did United sign from Le Havre? I already said it on the pod this morning, but if you haven't listened to the pod, I'll ask you now. Fire it in the chat and I'll see who gets the answer first. But he's an 18-year-old and he's out of contract this summer. And what United are doing, as you can see there, is we're going to sign him and then loan him out to Lausanne in Switzerland, who, of course, INEOS own. Brian, you nearly got it. You just spelled it wrong. I'll give it to you. Roque, we've got Stephanie, Gus, Brian, loads of you got it. It's all Pogba. Of course it's Pogba. But anyway, the reason this is an interesting one is because this is the first example I think we've seen of United using the multi-club model. So effectively, I'll be honest, I think I expect more of this summer. I don't think this will be the only one. It certainly won't be the only young player that we sign. But we've gone out and we've probably looked and done the research and the due diligence. What clubs around Europe have players who have got promise but whose contracts are expiring? Right, okay. And that's how they found Enzo Canabiek. Free agent in the summer. Take advantage of the opportunity. Not good enough to play for United. Cool. Well, we'll bring you into the multi-club model. You can go out and play for Lausanne in Switzerland, play there for a year, and then maybe you come through to United. Yeah, I can't remember the name of that Italian lad. There's an Italian striker who's at Lausanne. So look, Lausanne squad. Let's have a look at Lausanne squad. Can't remember the name of this lad. Oh, website don't work. Why is it Transfermarkt website doesn't work sometimes? Oh, God, big old advert. Love adverts, me. I can't remember the name. Who's the name of the... I have no idea. No idea. Either way, I think it's a good thing. It's nice to see that Profundi, there you go. Oh, we went back to Udinese. There you go. Thanks very much. Everyone in the chat knows. It's part and parcel of modern football. On my life, I wish that multi-club models were banned. I wish that no club was allowed a multi-club model. I don't think it's a good part of modern football. I think it unfortunately gives the biggest clubs the opportunity to sweep up in different ways. Obviously, if you look at what Chelsea have done with Strasbourg, and they've already made like 2-3 big signings, I think, and then just loaned them straight out to Strasbourg, I think. I wish they didn't exist, but they do, and they're not going away anytime soon. So I'm glad that United, and this is the foundation of it. And you know what I actually expect to happen? I kind of expect INEOS to sell Nice at some point soon. They've obviously had to step back because of the UEFA rules about not being involved in running two clubs who are in the same competitions. I genuinely think that we'll see INEOS sell Nice and then maybe buy another club. Maybe not in the French league. I don't know where, but I just feel that I feel like that's going to happen. Either way, this is just exactly that, Rob. It's easier for the biggest clubs to then hoard players. You can just, instead of just signing players who are good enough to play for your team, now you can then sign players who aren't quite good enough, but you can keep inside the multi-club model. And here's a big thing, right? I thought about this yesterday. Right now, in England, clubs are not allowed to sign players who are under the age of 18. That's because of Brexit rules. However, I'm pretty sure that FC Lausanne could sign a player who's under the age of 18. And he could go there, play for a year, and then join United. So I don't know whether this is right or wrong. I might be wrong on this, but it feels like United could use Lausanne and Nice as sort of a loophole to signing some of the best youngsters from other countries and taking them across there, getting round the Brexit rules for a year, and then bringing them through to Manchester United when they're 18, but actually signing them when they're 17. I don't know whether I'm right or wrong on that, but it feels like that could be a loophole. And that's just what football is these days. Go and ask Chelsea. They build their entire business model off loopholes. Yeah, Brighton, Bournemouth, Forest, Leeds, all part of multi-club models. Liverpool is establishing one. That's why Michael Edwards came back to the club. So me, you say not entirely correct, Sam. South American leagues don't allow players to leave before 18. Okay, I didn't know that. There's certain rules and regulations which I think should exist. Imagine moving country when you're 18. Jeez. To a place you can't speak the language. Either way. Be interesting to see when this one's announced and whether we can follow up on it. Maybe we'll do a little video on I think we will. We'll do a brief video on who he is and what the multi-club model is and how that can help United in the future. And finishing up on this lad, Dan Gore. So Dan Gore returned to United again, I think, from Rotherham after having an injury. And he's now back in training. I feel sorry for Dan Gore, man. He's had some real injury problems. And a couple of years ago, I looked at Dan Gore and I thought he was a real prospect. But it feels like injuries have just kind of like thwarted any progress. And I fully expect Dan Gore to be a player who's sold this summer now. So it's just a shame for him. Really is a shame. You can put Will Keane is another player like that. Kagotso, you're saying, why would INEOS sell Nice? It's just I don't know, it's just a thought I've had. I don't think there's any real... They do not have a good relationship with the fans. I think this is the first year where they've probably been hands-off and it's actually working. They're in their best season. Debas is saying, any new goalkeeper options? Yes, we have a video lined up. Maybe release it today, maybe release it tomorrow. Haven't quite decided, but it's a video that looks at 4 goalkeeper options who are all under the age of 25 that United could look at this summer if Andre Nana was going to be replaced. And we're going to follow that up with a part 2, looking at 4 goalkeepers who are over the age of 25 if experience is what we want in that position. Stephanie saying, where's Shea Lacey? Shea Lacey, I believe, is playing with the under-18s again now. He's got past his injury problems. Fingers crossed. What else we got down there? Sad to see a talent like Dan Gore being hampered by injuries. It happens quite a lot at that age, man. It happens quite a lot. That's why it's so worrying seeing Shea Lacey get so many consistent injuries, like thwarting his progress. I just hope that changes for him. But look, I'm going to wrap this up for today. Thank you all for tuning in. Yeah, I'll go back to what I said at the beginning there. I want to just have a final note on that. It's not that I don't think Victor Osimhen was ever on United's list. Of course he was. United, should we draw up a list of strikers who are, okay, of course you're going to have Osimhen on that list. But when you dive into it and you look at the numbers, it was never really going to happen, was it? And it just frustrates me when I see United fans getting fed just crap and just lies. And then that therefore makes them angry when moves don't happen. And it's all part and parcel of it. Thank you all for tuning in. Please drop a like on the video if you are new. And I will be back here tomorrow. And it's a busy day for me tomorrow. I'll tell you that. I'll tell you more tomorrow.